So when we're thinking about marketing strategies that a business may choose to adopt, there's a really useful tool which was developed by a chap called Igor Ansoff, which has since come to be known as Ansoff's Matrix. And this is a way of kind of thinking about the way that a business will approach the market and the products. So if we think, basically there are four options, as you can see here. So if we think about markets which we could either describe as existing or new, and similarly we can describe products as existing or new. Now it's important to note that this, when we say existing and new, we mean for the business that we're talking about here. So entering a new market counts as a new market for a business, even if the market was already there before. So what then do we call these things? Well, the kind of, I suppose the most extreme version is for a business to take a new product into a new market, and if they do that, we call that diversification. So if they are in a new product, if they're developing a new product and launching it into a new market for that business, that's called diversification. If they are going to develop a new product, so we're here, but they are going to sell it to existing customers, okay, then we are in the box down at the bottom here. So if it's a new product to an existing customer base, then we refer to that as product development. So this is essentially offering their existing customers some additional product. The alternative is that they offer something to existing customers, but that they offer an existing product, but they try and offer it to a new market, and that, unsurprisingly, is called market development. So this is often done in terms of geographical expansion, so selling an existing product into new geographical markets. The alternative to all of those is that the business doesn't actually do anything new, and it attempts to focus on and consolidate the position within its own market with its own customers, and if it adopts that policy, we call that market penetration. So what we essentially have then, okay, is four different generic marketing strategies which focus on either developing new products or developing new markets, and we will now look at each of those in turn. We're going to take the example of the supermarket industry and think about how we can apply Ansoff to the supermarket industry. So we're going to start with what a lot of people would perceive as being the kind of the standard model of competition. Okay, so the aim with market competition is try and attract customers from the competition. Okay, so remember that this is an existing product, so we're not changing the thing that we sell. It's an existing market. We're not trying to bring new people into the market. What we are simply doing here is we're trying to do better than our competitors. And we see this a lot with supermarkets. The example I've given you here in the image is a recent round of petrol price cuts. So price reductions is a very common approach to market penetration. So price reductions is one, but other things that we may well see here is an increase in promotion activity. We may see things like loyalty schemes to try and attract people from other business, from other competitors, and so on. We may also offer alternative buying options. So all of those would be considered examples of market penetration strategies. The really key aspect with Ansoff is all about risk, and that you should refer to risk whenever you're referring to Ansoff's matrix in your answer. And what we can say about the market penetration is that generally it is the lowest risk of the four. In theory, it is focusing on something that the business does well, and therefore it is a lower level of risk than the other options. So the next one that we can consider then is product development. Okay, so what we can hopefully remember, this is a new product to an existing market. Okay, so what we're doing here is that we are developing a new product, and as it says, we are selling this to a market which already exists. So the example that I've chosen here for the supermarkets is the introduction of pharmacy services within a supermarket. So the pharmacy services that we will talk about here could be considered a product development strategy for the business. So this one we can kind of talk about as a kind of a riskier approach. Okay, because the business doesn't necessarily know a great deal about the market. In terms of the implications for other strategies, this one has very significant implications for HR requirements and recruitment, because by offering this new product, that's going to require the introduction of a new skill set into the business, and quite possibly the knowledge of a market which doesn't already the knowledge of a product, beg your pardon, which doesn't already exist within the firm. So higher level of risk, but obviously it opens up this new product and opens up a new revenue stream for the business. So that's the advantage of why we would do that. Market development then is where a business takes a product that it already has. So it offers an existing product to a new market. Okay, one of the most obvious ways that we see this is in terms of a business expanding into a new geographical area. The picture obviously demonstrates Tesco's expansion into China. It now has a presence of 100 stores or so in China. So overseas expansion is often a market development strategy. Okay, but for smaller businesses, any form of geographical expansion would be suitable. We may also here be talking about new sales channels. So offering our existing product to people in a new way. Primarily at the moment, that would involve, for instance, online sales. So we're taking our existing product and we are offering it to the market in a new way. Or we are going to try to offer our existing product to new customer profiles. So an example of this might be, for instance, barber jackets. Okay, so barber jackets, their traditional customer profile is obviously kind of farmers and gamekeepers and rangers and people like that. Their new customer profile is very much kind of relatively wealthy, often city types. You see these kinds of things a lot kind of around Kensington and so on, things like that. So that's an example of market development. Okay, so the traditional barber coats are existing products, but they were being offered to a new market. Okay, once again, this is an element of risk. Okay, and once again, there are significant implications here for HR, probably even more so than the previous than product development, because here the people in the business need to have a really good understanding of the market that they are entering into, and if that doesn't currently exist within the business, then the recruitment and retention policies which the business adopts will need to be first rate, so that they can bring in those people with expertise and actually make a decent inroad into this new market. And the final form of strategy, according to Ansoff, is diversification. Now, the important thing to bear in mind here, is that this is the highest risk strategy. Okay, this is offering a new product into a new market. So this is basically the business opening up an entirely new, almost kind of subsidiary business here, that actually they are going to do something completely brand new. There are, though, degrees, because diversification can be considered to be related and unrelated. So related diversification, if we think, for instance, of the Hunger Games books. Now, they were originally released as books, but they were then offered up as films. Now, that was a new product, obviously, to a reasonably new market as well, cinema goers rather than book buyers. But obviously, there is a degree of correlation there, so we would call that a related diversification. An unrelated diversification is going completely off in a new direction. And offering some kind of actual brand new service. So an example of that might be, for instance, Virgin with their space program. That is unrelated diversification. That's not an existing product. That's not an existing market. It's something completely brand new for that product. So obviously we would think that unrelated is riskier. An unrelated diversification is a very risky undertaking. So there are a number of ways that a business could do this. Okay, self-development, i.e. R&D. Okay, so the business could undertake its own research and develop its own products and so on. A more common way, though, is to buy an existing business in that other market. We're seeing this a lot at the moment with the big players in the technology market. Google in particular has done this a great deal. So what they do is that they basically buy up a smaller business that has a much better understanding of the market. Boston Dynamics was an example quite recently in terms of the robotics and so on. So diversification is the riskiest, but also because it opens up brand new revenue channels, it means that the business may get what we call first mover advantage, perhaps. So they are the first one into that industry, possibly, and therefore they might well be able to do it, particularly if it's self-developed. You can minimise the risk of diversification slightly by buying up an existing successful business, which obviously comes with all of the skills and so on already, or by adopting a form of related diversification. So, just to summarise then, the Ansoff Matrix gives us an indication about the broad strategies that a business can adopt. So, it can adopt market penetration, okay, which is where the business basically does what it's already doing. Its existing products and its existing customers, it's just, the existing market, it's just trying to win customers from its competitors. It might decide to adopt product development. So staying with its existing market, it may decide to bring a new product to bear in that market. It may adopt market development, which is where it takes a product that it already has and attempts to establish a new market for it. Beg your pardon. Just get sorted out on here. Okay, so the last one then is diversification. Okay, and diversification could be related or unrelated. Okay, so those are the options which are available to the business. The really key thing, though, to bear in mind here is essentially the fact that as we move this way, we are increasing the level of risk. Okay, so we have less risk on the left and we have more risky businesses over there on the right. Okay, and the business needs to be aware of that. And obviously, the greater the risk, the greater the strategic implications of what they are doing, and the more strategic decisions they will have to make. On the left-hand end, okay, the decisions which are going to be made are generally relatively small scale, and will primarily focus on kind of minor tweaks to operations and marketing strategies. At the other end, they are going to be significant strategic decisions which need to be made, okay? And as we move to the right, we're going to be involving more and more and more of the functional areas. Diversification would involve significant strategic decisions on all aspects of the business. So the first thing we think about Ansoff is in terms of the level of risk, and the second thing is the extent of strategic decision making which it demands.